Hey, what's going on, guys? Max here for slurf.com. So, did you guys stack the Rockies yesterday? Well, I hope so, because if you didn't, you did not make any money. All right, let's jump into today. We have a four-game afternoon slate, which I will briefly touch on, and an 11-game night slate, which I will not so briefly touch on. So, let's go. For the early slate, for pitching, you can roster DeGrom, Hamels, Garcia as your pitching options. With I think Mane is also in play if you like to live on the edge, as he has shown really nice strikeout upside in the minors, which has not translated so far to the majors, but I think eventually it will. Twins like to swing and miss a lot, so I think this is a nice matchup for him. Let's see. My dogs are going crazy, and we just started the video, so that's not good. Um, Moving on to the stacks of the early slate, we have the Mets, Cardinals, Rangers, and Athletics. I think the A's are going to be sneaky and offer plenty of upside versus Pat Dean, whose strikeout rate is less than 15%, and pitches to contact, which is something I think the A's righty power bats like Chris Davis and Valencia can take advantage of. All right, let's decipher the pitching for the late slate. So Scherzer is the only really expensive arm that we have going today. He also is the only guy with any sort of ceiling that I see. He's also pretty safe, I feel like, due to the fact that he's an extreme fly ball pitcher, strikeout fly ball pitcher. And the Phillies don't hit the ball with a ton of power. They're kind of like punch and Judy offense. So they're bottom five in ISO. So most of the fly balls they hit should be off the soft variety. Of course, they can also run into a couple, and that means Scherzer could give up some solo bombs, but I don't think that lowers his upside as he should make up for all that with strikeouts. Moving on down the list, we have Felix, Tanaka, and Lester. I have not played Felix once this year, but I think he's firmly in play today against the Padres. Padres are super god awful versus right-handers. Felix's K percentage is down, his walk percentage is up, but again, this is the Padres, and we have rostered guys like John Lackey and Samardzija at 11K with success. So I don't think you should shy away from Felix today. Do expect him to be pretty popular, and I will try to get it to Scherzer wherever I can. But if you need to save some salary, I don't think you're losing much in terms of safety with Felix, but you are giving up upside for sure. Tanaka, I'm not touching today. I think he's similar to Felix with an upside, with quite a bit more risk facing the Blue Jays on the road. So yeah, no thanks on him. Lester, I think, is interesting. He's right at 10K, and I expect a nice game for him versus the Dodgers. Again, I don't see extreme upside here. Um, and as always, watch the wind at Wrigley Field. If it's blowing out, I don't think I would touch Lester at all. But I do like his safety to get against the Dodgers. I think he will have a nice game. Going on down the list, Robbie Ray is a no thanks for me. In fact, I'm going to stack against him with Houston. Really don't understand his price here. This brings me to Sanchez, Archer, Fulmer, and Shoemaker, who are all in 7K range, and I think they make for nice SP2s today on DraftKings. Sanchez is a ground ball pitcher, so he won't get you into too much trouble. He has also improved tremendously so far this year against lefties, who gave him a ton of trouble last year. And frankly, my Yankees are a bit of a mess right now, so I don't mind picking on them with pitching at all. Um, Archer is the highest upside play of the four guys I'm going to mention. I think Shoemaker's close, but I really do think Archer is on a different level when he's on. Problem is that he's facing Kansas City on the road. He's been much worse on the road, and Kansas City does not strike out much, if at all. So that does hamper his upside a little bit and raises his risk. I have no idea if I'm going to go here today, but I do think this makes for interesting GPP play. Fulmer is probably my favorite of this bunch. He's facing the Angels offense that kind of went off yesterday, but they went off against Anibal Sanchez, who is bad. So let's try and hopefully get lower ownership on Fulmer today due to the fact that maybe people are scared away from the Angels from facing the Angels right now. He has a very nice 25% K rate, but Angels are kind of like San Fran Giants of the AL, where they just don't strike out. They also don't hit the ball very hard and mostly hit the ball on the ground. So I think there is nice safety built in to Fulmer today. Shoemaker has been insane in his last two starts, striking people out with impunity and inducing weak contact. Today he gets a matchup versus the Tigers that strike out a ton versus right-handed pitching, as we saw against Chacin the other day, but they also hit the ball very hard occasionally. So this is another nice upside high-risk play that I offer you. I have to dig into which pitch types Tigers struggle against and which pitch types Shoemaker throws. And I'm going to do this during the day and have a complete breakdown for you on our Expert Live chat show tonight. So tune into that. Last but not least, we have Albert Suarez. Who, you say? Well, he's a long reliever making a spot start for the Giants against the Braves. He's only 4K, which is why I'm mentioning him at all. And we recommended Dylan Jean a similar spot yesterday, although I think he carried a bit more upside versus a swing happy, strikeout happy Tampa Bay team. Suarez does not have much of a strikeout ability, however, but he's an extreme fly ball pitcher. The Braves do not hit their fly balls very hard, kind of like the Phillies. So I do think that he can have plenty of quick innings and get maybe into the sixth inning here and give you 12 to 15 points with a win, hopefully. This is plenty if you pair him with a guy like Scherzer and get a bunch of high upside bats in there. So I think I like him as an option for SB2, where, like we said, there just isn't a lot of upside in the second pitcher spot today. On to the early stacks. Let's start at Coors. Last night was a great example that when Coors is in play with a guy like Moscot and the awful, awful Cincinnati bullpen, just don't get cute and have exposure to the Rockies. Today's a similar spot. Lamb is miles better than Moscot, yes, but he has struggled so far this year. Rockies are also not as good versus lefties as they are against righties, but let other people talk themselves into a fade here. I'm going to have exposure to the Rockies pretty much all over the place, and they're really not as priced up as they were yesterday, so you can fit them in along with Scherzer and another nice pitcher. So I really just don't see the downside here. Roster the Rockies and roster them often and differentiate elsewhere. Um, on the other side, I had zero Cincy bats yesterday, and I'm going to go ahead and have zero again today. Chad was a ground ball pitcher that just doesn't offer too much upside versus for the hitters that face him. He does give up some hard contact occasionally, so it's not like Cincinnati's going to get shut down. But with the ownership that I'm expecting on them, I just think it makes sense to go with a fade here. Do you want more stacks? Well, I'm going to give you some more stacks. Houston versus Ray is a great spot for Houston to continue hitting the ball well. Love the top of the order against the lefties. Can also throw some Gaddis. And Marisnik has actually been crushing the ball versus left-handers recently, so he's cheap. So if you want to make him part of your Astros core stack, I have no problem with that. The Red Sox are interesting If you played bets with the Rockies yesterday, congratulations. You have a ton more money than you did yesterday, and you're probably not listening to this and sleeping off your hangover. So good job there. I did not have any bets yesterday, but I am planning on having some Red Sox to get today against Mike Wright in Camden Yards. Red Sox tend to go overlooked on full slates with a ton of options, so I do expect them to have lower ownership than we're used to today. A ton more good spots that I'm just going to mention here quickly and go further into in our expert chat. We have the Nationals against Adam Morgan and his 15% K rate. Rendon, Zimmerman, Worth, and Ramos all have upside on a day like today. Giants were my downfall yesterday in my Rocky stacks, but I'm going to go right back there today. I think they all have upside versus Williams Perez. Um, Especially bats like Belt and Crawford. Pirates should beat up on Adam Conley, but I do not know how much upside they have in the sense that I just don't expect too many home runs here. They're in a pitcher's park, so I think if they go off, they're going to string a bunch of hits together. Same with Miami versus Nice. So if you want to go here, I suggest a stack instead of taking a one-off. I do like the one-offs on the Mariners tonight. However, Cruz Gutierrez and Dae-Ho Lee are going to go overlooked versus Friedrich lefty on the Padres. So if you need to fill out your stacks with a one-off, I think they all have upside. Okay, guys, that's all from me today. Remember, log into the expert chat tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to go through each game in complete detail. All right, peace out.